Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making the Nerf Kebabs from the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge cookbook. The ingredients that we are going to need are either 1 pound of ground beef, which is what I'm using, or you can use ground bison, a half of a cup of warm water, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of instant active dry yeast, a pinch of salt, a tablespoon of sugar, and a tablespoon of olive oil. We will also need 1 whole egg, a half of a cup of Italian seasoned breadcrumbs, a half of a cup of freshly grated parmesan cheese, and a half of a cup of freshly grated sharp cheddar cheese. And then for the Nerf steak seasoning that we're going to be making, you will need 1 tablespoon of the following: brown sugar, granulated garlic, paprika, cumin, and salt, and then 1 teaspoon of crushed savory leaves and freshly ground black pepper. And the last thing we're going to need are some bamboo skewers that we will need to skewer these with once we get them all assembled. So let me get some of this out of my way and then we'll get started. So the first thing I'm going to start with is actually our seasoning mix, and I'm just going to dump all of our spices in the bowl here and then stir them around, and then I'm going to set this over to the side until we're ready for it. There we go, those are all our spices. And then just be sure to crumble that brown sugar up really well and make sure it gets mixed in with all the others. And this spice mix smells so good already. I love the smell of cumin. It's got such a nice earthy fragrance to it. Alright guys, that I think looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to set this over to the side for right now. And we're going to go ahead and start working on the bread dough. I've already gone ahead and added in my flour to the bowl. I'm going to add in my yeast as well as the sugar and the olive oil here, and my salt and my water, and that's all we need. So we can just stir this around. I'm going to use my wooden paddle. You could do this on a stand mixer if you want, but it's such a small amount. I find that it's easier to actually do this by hand. So this actually came together fairly quickly. Now all we want to do is put it out on a lightly floured surface so that we can knead this for about a minute or so, or just until we get a smooth ball. Now you might find you need a little bit more flour just so it doesn't stick, and I'm definitely going to flour my hands up because this is a little bit on the tacky wet side. It is a very nice soft dough though, I will say that. Alright guys, well while I'm doing this, I would like to remind you guys of the Gamers and Geeks playlist that JPickADeath and I have going on our channels. If you would like to be a part of it, it's really easy. All you have to do is go out and make a cooking video, and then once you've done that, post it to your channel and then let either JPick or I know down in the comment section of our latest cooking videos. Or if you're a part of our Discord servers, you can let us know over there. The only thing we do ask, guys, is that you mention the Gamers and Geeks playlist somewhere in your cooking video, as well as leaving a link down in the description to it. And that's just so we can continue to support all the fine people that have already contributed to the list. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and continue kneading this for about a minute or so until it starts coming together. Alright guys, I've got our bread dough all together, and I've put it in a lightly oiled bowl with just a light spray of olive oil over the top of it. I'm going to cover this with a tea towel and put it over in a warm place to rise for about an hour. So in the meantime, we will start getting our meatballs together. Alright guys, I've already gone ahead and put the hamburger in our bowl and kind of lightly broken it up. And I'm going to go ahead and just add our remaining ingredients, which is our egg, our breadcrumbs, the Parmesan cheese, and then we're going to need 3 tablespoons of the seasoning mix that we made, and the rest of it you can store in a airtight container. That's 2, and then our last one here. There we go. It smells so good. Alright, now all we need to do is mix this up. Alright guys, I am just doing a last minute final mix with this, just to make sure we've got the seasonings all off the bottom, and I did wash my hands very thoroughly before I started making the meatballs. Alright, I think that looks really good. And now all we need to do is divide our dough into about 15 1-inch or so balls. Alright guys, I've gotten our meatballs all together, and we have 15 beautiful little meatballs here. I'm going to cover these up with some saran wrap and move them over into my refrigerator until our dough is done rising. And also while I'm doing that, I'm going to put my skewers in some water just to soak them so they don't burn while we're cooking them in the oven. So I'll see you when it's time to start assembling these. Alright guys, our dough has doubled in size, so now all we need to do is roll it out on our board. And I'm going to form it into a log, and then we'll cut it into 5 equal pieces. Right, so it looks like it's a little bit thicker on one end than the other. So I think if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I might need to take a little bit off of that end there, and we'll stick those together. And now all we're going to do is take our piece of dough and form it into about a 10-inch long log, just like that. So let me get the rest of these all rolled out, and then we can assemble our kebabs. Alright guys, let me show you how to assemble our kebabs now that we've got our dough all ready. I'm going to start by piercing one end of the dough rope, followed by a meatball, and then I'm going to bring the dough up and around our meatball, just like that. Kind of push it down a little bit more, followed by a second meatball, and then we're going to bring our dough up over that one, and followed by one more final meatball on this one with the end of our dough. And this dough kind of is a little bit longer, so I'm going to just kind of bring it up over the end there. So it should look something like that when you're done. And I'm going to put it over on a parchment lined cookie sheet while I continue fixing these last 2 kebabs. Alright guys, here we go. Our kebabs are all done. And now all I'm going to do is cover this up with a tea towel and let the dough start rising again for about 15 minutes while I wait for my oven to preheat to 375 degrees. And once it's done that, I'm going to be putting these into the oven and baking them for 20 minutes or until they're done. Alright guys, I've got our Nerf Kebabs out of the oven, and we have one final thing to do to them, and that is to sprinkle them with a little bit of our shredded sharp cheddar cheese. So I'm just going to put that right on top of them, and then I'm going to put these back in the oven for about 1 or 2 minutes until the cheese is nice and melted. Alright guys, so I'm going to pop these back in the oven, and I will see you when they're completely done. Alright guys, our Nerf Kebabs are out of the oven, and they smell absolutely delicious, and I cannot wait to get in here and give one of these a try. So let's do that. I think I'm going to start with this little one right here. And I'm just going to kind of break it in half there. Move that over to the side. Make sure we get some of the bread as well as the meatball. It's really screaming hot. I just took these right out of the oven. Alright guys, so overall I do like the meatball. I just think it's a little bit too heavily spiced for my personal taste. And I'll definitely be dropping the spice down to about 2 tablespoons the next time I make these, but I do like the concept of it. I think it's really fun adding the bread right onto the stick with our meatballs. Almost makes it a meatball sub on a stick. But that's going to be it for me for the day. Remember to check out the Gamers and Geeks playlist, as well as my other Star Wars Galaxy cooking videos. I'll leave a link down in the description to them. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave me a comment down below. If you all tried this recipe out, let me know how it turns out for you. And as always, thank you all so very much for joining me today. I've been Vault Girl. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.